Hello everyone, I'm Kim Garza. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the iPad Pro 2018 and if it is worth it to have it if you are a photographer. So I made a checklist for you guys so you know all my inputs. I have this iPad since October 2018, so I have been using the iPad for my photography work. So I'm going to talk about my experience with this iPad and of course from the side to be a photographer and if it is worth it to have an iPad Pro and what you can do in this one. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the three things that I have been using since October. That is the iPad Pro 2018 and it's the 11 inches version, and also I got the Apple Pencil and the keyboard that it's already like super dirty because I use it a lot. So one of the things that I really like is the pencil, so I'm going to use it right now. So I have the checklist in here. First of all, I want to talk about the screen. So the screen is pretty nice because you don't have a lot of borders in here and the resolution of the screen is actually pretty good. You can see like in really detail, and for a photographer you really want to see as much resolution as you can have. And this one also you can see 4K videos in this one, so the resolution of the screen is pretty good. One of the things also different in the screen is that you don't have the home button from the previous iPad, so you just do this to close the apps, which is pretty good. I don't miss the button and it's a pretty good software. One of the things that I don't really like is that it's not that resistant. I haven't had accidents. I just got one accident with the iPad and it's already damaged in here. I don't know if you can see it. And from 3 days I couldn't use the AirDrop application. So for 3 days I was like out, and I have also an iPhone and a Mac Pro. So one of the things that is really nice for Apple is that you can have a really nice interaction about if you have anything in your iPhone or in your Mac, you can translate it, you can transfer that in the iPad really easy. But with AirDrop, without AirDrop, then it's pretty hard to do that. So it was quite complicated. So in the resistant, I don't think it's really good. The home button, I like it. The screen, I like it. So I think it's one of the things that you need to consider, because if you have an accident with the iPad, probably you won't have an iPad anymore. So Apple Pencil, oh, this is one of my favorite parts of the new version. This new Apple Pencil, the previous one wasn't that nice to use because and the iPad as well, because when you put your hand in the iPad, then the iPad detects your hand. But in this case, I can do this, and it doesn't detect my hand. It just detects the Apple Pencil, and it has a really nice shortcuts. Just do this and then you have the pencil, do this again, and then you have the eraser, and then you can configure where do you want to touch it to change things. So it's actually pretty good. I used to have a lot of notebooks for my notes and for everything that I'm doing, but now I don't have any notebooks, which is good for the environment. And then I have this application that is pretty good to use, so that's a really good point for Apple. The other negative point that I will say the same from the resistance of the Apple Pencil. So this part, the good thing is like you can change it. This is a tiny part of the Apple Pencil, because it's good that you can change it, because I had an accident and my pencil just like got to the floor like this and it was completely ruined and I cannot use it anymore. So you need to have kind of like spare parts for this one, because for sure you will like the pencils always fall in the floor and then the resistance is not really good. But the rest of the pencil is pretty good. It works pretty well, but you need to change this. They're not that expensive, but you need to have spare parts. The keyboard, so I always use it with the keyboard. The keyboard has the functionality to protect your Apple, your iPhone, and also you have the functionality to have it as a laptop. I really use it a lot, like when I'm sending emails, or even I some days don't use my laptop because I'm using just the iPad. So it's pretty good to have it like the keyboard, because it's not the same to write in your phone that you have already all the skills in the fingers. If you don't have your keyboard, it's quite complicated to write it. But otherwise, like, if you can buy an accessory and you will buy or the keyboard or the pencil, I will suggest to buy the pencil. The keyboard is pretty good to have if you want to replace a little bit your computer, but it's not 100% necessary to have it. Although it protects a lot your iPad, not 100% because it's really fragile, but for sure I recommend more the Apple Pencil. I really like the Apple Pencil. The face recognition, the face recognition, it's pretty good. Actually, when I'm like in the dark, I was worried that it doesn't work, but actually it works, which is weird but nice. Like if I'm completely in the dark and I want to use my iPad, I actually recognize my face, and I can be with the glasses, without the glasses, and like with the hair down, with the hair up, and it still recognize my face, so it's pretty good. Now let's talk about the software. So we have the Gear Complete. The Gear is pretty good. It's just really fragile and not compared with the, like if you have an iPhone, the iPhone is really resistant. This one is not. Like you cannot afford a damage of your iPad. Like you will completely ruin your iPad. So talking about the software, I'm pretty happy with the capacity of the software. It has a lot of capacity to say, so I have already like, I don't know, 1,000 photos raw format, and it has already like, it still has capacity. I have the capacity to 250 gigabytes, so the capacity is pretty good. And one of the things that I like the most is the speed. Some of the videos that I used to edit in my Mac, now I'm edit in my iPad, because this one is much more, it has it's faster than my iPad, than my Mac. So I'm pretty happy with the speed, because even I start editing videos in here instead of my Mac, because my Mac has a lot of things already, and this one actually processes the videos pretty well. 4K videos, like I'm editing a bunch of 4K videos, and has a lot of capacity to edit them. So actually it's pretty good. So now moving to the apps, I will start with the Adobe apps, which is the apps that I recommend for photographers. I know that there's a lot of photographers that use other apps, but I would recommend only the apps that I have used, that I know that they're nice for you guys. I'm not going to recommend anything that I haven't used, and I'm not going to tell that it's good or bad if I don't have the experience to use it. And I'm not going to tell you something that is bad that is good. I'm always going to tell you the truth. So first of all, they have a lot of applications of Adobe. If you have a subscription with Adobe, I have a subscription to have all the applications and all the softwares that I pay yearly. I think it's worth it. I will do, that's why you need to protect the spare parts. I will do another video about the Adobe subscription and the Creative Cloud, if it is worth it or not, but let's talk about iPad for now. So there is a application that is called Photoshop Fix. So this Photoshop Fix, I use it for, let me show you. I use it for retouching, but it's not the retouching that you can do with your Photoshop in the computer. So that's one of the things. So I have in here a picture that I have retouched. If you can see, it's pretty nice. The picture is, it was already like, I didn't do a lot of things. Let me show you the original one. This one, I remove the hair, I remove a little bit the wrinkles, and I did a little bit of the retouching of the forehead, but basically that's it, a little bit of the lighting. So one of the things that I use in here a lot, it's the retouching. You can use the healing and then the spot, and then you do this, like it's really nice. Oh, you can see here what I did. If you have the pencil, it's much more easier. If you want to retouch it without the pencil, I have tried it and it's not nice. You need the pencil to do the retouching, otherwise you won't be able to do it, because you need to select tiny parts, as you can see in here, like with the hair and everything. You cannot do it without this one. And I do also the smooth and sharpen. It's like the put the sharpening of the eyes that I already told you in my video. If you want to see how I do retouching, you can see in here the suggested video. So smooth a little bit some parts, sharpen some other parts, you can see in here. So it's quite nice. The lighting, it's like the Dodge and Burn, you can do it in here also, and adjust some exposure, contrast, warmth, saturation, shadows, and highlights. So it's a basic retouching and Dodge and Burn, which is pretty good. I do like it, but if I'm doing something that is really detailed, you cannot do in the iPad now a really detailed retouching and Dodge and Burn. But it's good, just not super advanced. The other app that is really nice for the iPad is the Lightroom. You have full functionality in the Lightroom. Let me show you. So these are all my applications from Adobe, but I'm showing you the ones that I really like in the iPad. So I have the same photo in here. If I press the photo, I see the original. If I remove, I see the changes that I did with Lightroom. If you have the subscription, you will have full functionality of the Lightroom. So basically, if I do something in Lightroom in the iPad or in the Mac, it's the same. It's not like Photoshop. In Photoshop, you have limits. It is not, you cannot use the entire functionalities of Photoshop in the iPad, but you can use it the Lightroom. So the iPad doesn't have the full functionalities of Photoshop, but it does have the full functionalities for Lightroom. So if you use Lightroom in the iPad or in the Mac, it's the same. So you have also the ability to do the presets and to change all the things, all the tiny things. So it's really nice. I use it a lot. Actually, if I'm going to edit something that I just use Lightroom, I do it everything in the iPad and I don't even need the laptop. So that's other thing. One of the things that is important to tell you, how I pass my photos to this, I use a tiny port that I'm going to give you the information there because I don't have it in here. It's an external port. I will give you the information on the bottom. It's not that expensive. And you can use, basically it's wireless, so I have connected my SD card and then I just leave it there and then I edit everything and I see everything in the iPad. I will tell you the information in the bottom, so it's pretty good. So the next one is the Photoshop Express. I don't use it a lot, this one, but for me it's really important to have the copyright in my photos. So in this one it's pretty good because I have the font that I use and it's really easy to put it in here. So that's the only thing that I use with this one because it doesn't have a lot of functionalities, but if you want to put your copyright, you can put it with the Photoshop Express. So it's nice. Another thing that, well, if you're a photographer, these are the three ones that it will be the most important for you. But if you also do videos, there is an application called Rush. That is this one. That is pretty nice to edit videos. I do some of my YouTube editions in there and it's pretty cool, so I recommend to see. The other, okay, those are the application from Adobe. I'm pretty happy with those. The only negative point is that you don't have the full functionality of Photoshop, so if you want to do an advanced retouching and Dodge and Burn, you won't be able to do it in that. For now, I have good news at the end of the video. The other applications that I recommend is GoodNotes. It's the application that you are seeing right now. That it's for taking notes. I have all my notes in here and everything, all my books for the photography and my other works. The other one that I recommend is Sketchbook. Sketchbook is this one. So if you like to paint or do artistic stuff, you can do it in here. It's like really creative and you have a lot of options for pencils. But of course you need the Apple Pencil. So if you are going to have the iPad without the Apple Pencil, you won't have all the good things for the iPad. So I really recommend the Apple Pencil. So it's really nice, Kim Garza. subscribe. Yay! Okay, so the other one, it's just really nice, really nice. It's record it. So this application is to record your screen if you are doing a retouching or something that you want to show to your audience, then you can use that application. And the last thing that I want to tell you is that you can use all your social media. I have my social media in here. So it's pretty nice to have it in here, and it's nice to see everything big. And I have two news about the iPad. That is, one of the things is it's going to be released this year on iOS especially for the iPad. So the iPad the hardware is really nice, but it's limited by the software. But they will release a new software that you are going to use the iPad and it will be like a computer, which is going to be pretty excited. Once they release that, I will test it and then I will do another video with that review about their software. And the other thing that I'm pretty excited, because they announced it since last year but they haven't released it yet, is because they will have a full Photoshop for iPad, but they haven't released it yet. But I'm waiting for that and test it, so perhaps we can actually do the full retouching and touching board. If that's the case, then an iPad is a well investment for a photographer, for a professional photographer. And also other advantages is that you can show to your clients and everything looks pretty nice in an iPad. So it's pretty nice for your presentation. So talking about just a summary about the pros and cons about the iPad Pro, I can share my opinion about the iPad Pro 2018. So first of all is the price. So the price, I did this video before, that's why it's like writing and I'm speaking separately. So it's not that cheap, it's expensive, and then you have the separate hardware, so you need to buy at least the Apple Pencil to have all the functionalities. But the pros is you have a really fast response. It's really nice if you work with a lot of photos or videos. It's really easy to carry. As I say, you can have a presentation with your client and then you can bring your iPhone and you can bring your iPad, and it's really nice to see. Also, you can do a basic retouching if you are a photographer that doesn't do a lot of retouch because it's not your field, then perhaps it's really good for you. You have the full functionality of the Lightroom, so perhaps if you just use Lightroom, then the iPad is perfect for you. But you cannot do the complex retouching, as I say, and you need to wait because it will be a release of Photoshop. So we will see if we can do the full retouching and touching board. And of course, I'm waiting for the release of the new iOS. So perhaps the negative points, except the price, but the negative points that do not have the full Photoshop will be covered by the new iOS or also the release of the Photoshop 2019. So in summary, it's a good investment if you're a photographer. It is quite expensive, so perhaps if you need to have priorities of your work, but if you really want to invest in an iPad, I think it's a good investment. But let's wait for the new iOS and the new Photoshop application, and then let's see if actually it's actually better to invest in an iPad than in a computer, in a laptop. So that could be really nice, because for a photographer you need to carry a lot of things, and perhaps it's easy, like for me it's easy to carry something like this really light, and then I can put everything in my backpack, my camera and the iPad, and then I have all the functionality. Also, that is really nice to edit everything when you are in the car or in the train or somewhere else. I'm going to show you some of the photos that you are seeing in here. I edited 100% with just the iPad. I really like them, but when I need to do the retouching, it's much better with the Photoshop. So my experience is that if you want to do a complex retouching and touch and burn, the iPad is not ready yet for that. But if you want to do basic retouching and also you want to use more Lightroom, then the iPad can do all the work already. So these photos I edit edit them 100% with the iPad. I have edited them to show you what you can do with the iPad Pro 2018. So that's it. That's my review of the iPad Pro 2018. I think it's a good investment, but but the iPad has, of course, pros and cons that I'm sharing with you. I share it by my experience as a fine art, a beauty photographer. Once Apple released the iOS software for iPad, I will do another video with my review once I have used the software. And of course, once Adobe released the Photoshop 2019 for iPad, I will do a review, of course. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about this, just comment below and I will reply as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give me a like if you like the video. Ciao!